What is good, yo? Kip up here, and here we are for a Primal Groudon and Balanced Hackmons discussion. So I've had a lot of response, well not a lot, but a good amount of at least passionate response to my video. I've seen a lot of discussions by going through the BS Suspect thread, and first of all, I do want to say, because I've been called out on it twice now, and it is a stupid thing that I did, is that I just counted Silver Lucario's post as just true, just entirely, oh yeah, it's not facetious at all, it's clearly satire, and that is totally on me. I just kind of skimmed through it, and I just kind of took it as fact. That is totally on me, and I do want to point out in this too, he does say, like, you are spreading misinformation, and that is true, and I do want to apologize for that first and foremost. That's on me for not actually paying attention to the post or anything at all, and yeah, I do want to apologize first and foremost for that. But what I do want to do is I do want to go through some of the discussions that I've seen, some of the comments sent to me, and in that case the inbox message sent to me that I just want to respond to. Part of why is because I want to be able to, now that I've thought about it more and actually organize myself, I want to be able to answer these better than I did in my first video, which is obviously very unorganized and it contained misinformation. And also I do want to just spread the discussion on both sides, because a lot of what I've seen is pro ban, and I can totally understand the discussion on both sides, but you guys will see my answers to these. So Paul von Oberstein, whoever you are, Oberstein, thank you very much for commenting. I have no clue who you are. If you want to tell me your smogon username on the forums or on Showdown, let me know. I would absolutely love to talk to you more on this. But essentially what he says is you have to run 3 specific answers to just this one Pokemon, depending on what set it is. Even then, as I did highlight his versatility, you will not know what that set is unless you go into Ditto or you just scout in general. And he was saying, name a couple Pokemon sets that can counter half of these, and all I can say to that is there really aren't many, and that is true, and I really don't want to say that I said otherwise. I don't want to click that. I want to say read more. I said, well, I probably should have looked forward more into the post, which is yet again on me. I do think that every single set does have counterplay. That includes Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, Xerneas, Mega Ray, anything you want. And technically there isn't a Pokemon that counters, half of a lot of sets, frankly. I know that sounds really dumb, like Registeel is a fantastic answer to Rayquaza. But what I'm saying is that no matter what, there is a set for every Pokemon that will break through your team, and some of them are not uncommon. So as you said, the Banded Tinted Lens, that just used to destroy teams. I've seen that a ton. Galvanize as well, I've seen a lot of that. But basically the point is that counterplay exists for that. Counterplay exists for Mega Ray and in general. So I do not want to say, like for a fact, yes, there are probably very few sets, although I do love Giratina as a general answer to Primal Groudon, that do stop these offensive Groudon sets. However, I do think that counterplay still exists, and that's the thing. And even if Groudon is used as counterplay for Groudon, to me, that still counts. That is perfectly fine. If that walls itself, then use it. And of course, there's the case of 1,000 arrows and 1,000 arrows hitting everything and fire coverage, so you can hit the entire tier neutrally, and that makes sense. But I think on every single team ever, you are going to have naturally defensive or naturally SPDF Pokemon to handle something like this. In my case, I did have the Flash Fire Registeel, and if I couldn't use that, I had my SPDF / defensive Yveltal. I had my Giratina. I even had Chansey to some degree that would count. I had a bulky Xerneas. I'm just using that E4 Flint team as an example. And yeah, I do feel like that you naturally ingrain some counters just by default. So I do believe that, yeah, some of these abilities are broken on Groudon, But if you really think they're broken to the point of where the entire Pokemon needs to be banned, I think you need to look more at the ability in itself. When you're in a tier where everything is supposed to be totally broken, then I think counterplay exists for literally everything as well, because you can make anything broken. So yet again, I do see the argument here, and I totally see that. But yet again, my response is naturally, I don't like the presence it sets. There are a ton of pretty standard Pokemon that could take this on. You can outplay the guy with it. You can do a lot of things, and if that means even running your own Primal Groudon for these specific things, then I say do it because it makes complete sense. If it counters itself, and that counts as a counter. So I said that word a couple too many times. But yeah, but yet again, big thing. I am sorry about getting wrong about the Silver Lucario's post. I do have it pulled up. Obviously it's sarcastic. Saw many amazing anti-bank arguments. So the Corsola thing, I took that a little bit too literally. Things like that, but pretty much that is my main argument. And then this guy, of course, says, well, he brought the Corsola thing, so that was stupid for me to say. He said around 10:30, I talk about how versatile Primal Groudon is, and that I have built a few teams. I'll say that right now. I've built new teams for the new Groudon. It's pretty freeing. I don't know whether you've built teams before, because you talk about taking other teams. I'll address that as well, just real quick. I don't use a lot of my own teams, mostly because I honestly don't feel that good at the tier. So of course I use more teams for more experienced players, things like that. So if you guys want me to use my own teams, I'm absolutely down to do so. But the reason I use the teams I do is because I just feel like, coming from a more reputable source, they're great. I don't want to build something, happen to do well in a video, and then end up giving it to you guys and it's actually like totally awful. That's one of my big fears. And also one of my big fears is obviously this whole misinformation thing. So to those watching this before the suspect test, and I really want to get this out before voting begins, I do apologize for this. Entirely on me. I'm posting this everywhere I can to potentially say that was stupid. That's entirely on me. So anyway, what you're saying is that, yeah, I do agree that team building is pretty freeing. But yeah, again, my thing is, with things like Primal Kyogre, with Mega Ray, with, Diancie, well, Mega Diancie, Complete Zygarde, Complete, however you want to say it, there are always sets that are going to break your team. And they don't necessarily have to be these really weird sets. Like, I've always had problems with Poison Heal Pokemon, bulky Poison Heal Pokemon, like the Xerneas, Primal Kyogre, Giratina, things like that, where I can't break through them no matter how much I set up, because normally there's a countermeasure for that on that set. And that's what I'm saying. There are just so many things where you can counter Primal Kyogre. You can have other win cons where if you can force Groudon out, then you can probably win the game pretty easily. My whole thing is I don't like the banning of a Pokemon in a broken ass tier. It just doesn't make sense to me. But of course, I do really appreciate everything I've seen, and of course I've gone down here, and who was it? Crap, I should totally know. I was just reading this. Where is it? I'm gonna keep going. RNG is Fatal. He wrote a fantastic article, or not article, but more of an essay about just about how broken he believes it is. So at this point, I am afraid to have a rocket conclusion. Everyone has no ban stance on Primal Groudon has been doomed an endless repetition of using Primal Groudon. I don't really use Primal Groudon that much, allow me to say that. And I do think it's fun. I think it's a really fun Pokemon, because it can be used in so many different ways, and as a win con. But I think that's also the point of balanced Hackmons, where if you're having fun with a Pokemon, have fun with it. It's a broken tier. Use a broken Mon. There is counterplay to it. I'm not trying to say that, oh, it's broken, no counterplay, but I mean, if you find a set that works, then use it, and if you find a fantastic counter to Primal Groudon, use it, etc., etc. And I don't really think there's much more to be said on that. I agree with a lot of this, that it's better than Mega Ray. It's better than Primal Kyogre, even though they have great great sets, fantastic mixed stats, etc., etc. But to me, it's just not. It's not ban worthy. It's not. And the use of Primal Groudon can be to counter so many things. It can be used to counter, with Desolate Land, it can counter some Kyogres. It can counter pretty much anything. You can make it Fur Coat, and it'll take a lot of stuff. You can make it bulky, imposter proof, and you can use it as your own win con that things can't copy. So I do think that it has great sets, obviously, but I just don't think it should be banned. And I know it doesn't sound like I have a lot of evidence for that, and really I don't have like numerical evidence that says, oh hey, Primal Groudon should not be banned. But I do think having it around is more fun personally. I don't like the banning of a Pokemon in this tier. I think it's fine. I really don't think it's too overbearing, because at one point you're going to see the same 2 to 4 sets on Primal Groudon being used every time. And then sometimes you'll see the random one that's really niche that you'll beat down, like a lot of other BH sets. The super niche work for this team, and this team only counters this and that and that. And it doesn't work for a sustained period. And I think there's enough of that to where you don't have to plan out, as in this video. You don't have to plan out every single counter to this. And of course it's important to have these, especially the Tinted Lens, Desolate Land, and Sheer Force. I think those are the most important. But I can't say enough. I really can't. There's counterplay. There's always counterplay, and there's always going to be a set, regardless of what you do, that's still going to break you apart, and it doesn't make that Pokemon broken. Like some weird set of Guts Marshadow can destroy me, and that doesn't make it broken. That makes the set good, or good enough to beat the composition of my team. And of course Groudon does have a huge impact on the meta. Like the Tinted Lens did change the meta, of course it did. But with a bulkier meta, it also means you can take on more things that can run a similar ability, a similar set, a similar item. So in a way, it almost preps you for more things sometimes, and it feels very specific to Groudon occasionally. But I don't think that is something that can constantly be stated. That every little thing is for Primal Groudon. You don't have to worry about Diancie. You don't have to worry about Darkrai. You don't have to worry about etc, etc, etc. And you do. You just do. So when you build these teams, of course you're building them to stop Primal Groudon. But in stopping some of these sets, you're also taking on other Pokemon that can run sets that are walled by yours. That was a very convoluted statement. But by prepping for Groudon, you're prepping for other things, kind of unconsciously, if I'm going to say that. If I can say that. So yeah, that is of course my argument. Yet again, please leave your comments, your opinions in the description. I apologize for the 1,000th time, and I do really feel bad about it, for mischaracterizing Silver Lucario's post, and especially after I got the inbox message about it. I wanted to address it in a video. Of course, my views have not changed. However, I see there are more arguments for ban. There are more arguments for pro ban than I originally believed. But I do definitely want to hold my belief on this. I just don't think the banning is right. There's counterplay. The inner, just fun little kid version of me thinks having Primal Groudon's fun, especially when it can counter itself, it can run a bunch of sets. And yeah, so you guys let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Please comment. I want to hear all of your thoughts, and I will talk to you guys soon.